Hi, Max. Uh, Sarah thought that it would be a good idea if you and I talked a few things through about how the pandemic's affected us. Um, and especially since she's in the line of country she is, how it's affected our work. Um, we are palindromic twins. Um, you're 17, I'm 71. So you're probably statistically, certainly nearer the beginning of your life than the end. And I'm certainly statistically nearer the end of my life than the beginning. um, but we have the pandemic in common,
Yeah.
apart from being part of the same social circle. Um, what was the biggest effect that the pandemic had on you? Because
Well,
it must have disrupted your routine incredibly.
it really did. I was going to school every day and doing the same routine for schools, getting up at 8, going to school like every day, and suddenly that all just changed. Just like in a split second, that day it just changed, and it was really weird because I had this whole routine of like going to school and stuff, and I took for granted school basically. I I took for granted doing something every single day, going to school and actually like seeing my friends, doing work. And then the second that was all like scrapped away from me in a split second, I was like, I've literally got nothing to do. I was so bored at home because of the lack of being able to do anything. It was a massive, massive change.
Well, it's interesting you say that because it hasn't changed my life much at all,
How come?
apart from Sundays, and even then, with Zoom, we've kept up regular services. Um, but what I've noticed since retirement is when you haven't got a series of things you've got to do, when you haven't got an imposed routine, it's really quite difficult to impose a meaningful routine on yourself. I
Mm.
mean, when Sarah spent 3 days a week up in London um, on business, but she's been able to do business at home. Um, but I'd make sure I was always up for the postman who always calls at 8:30. Not now, not now at all. Um, because I haven't got the timetabling in position that I used to live by, even though all my ministry I've been able to be very flexible. I mean, since I left school, I've been able to set my own timetable virtually without any problems. But when you haven't got duties, it is very difficult. And I don't know how somebody in your position really can manage that. Have you at all managed to crack that nut?
What, what do you mean, crack that nut? Like,
Crack the nut of constructing your own routine, constructing your own timetable when you haven't got things you've got to do.
no, well, after my timetable basically just disappeared from my life, I didn't really feel like I had to get up for anything. There was no need for me to get up early in the morning anymore. There was no need for me to go to bed early at night. I was waking up at past midday, like 1 or 2 o'clock, and not going to bed till the early hours of the morning because there just wasn't much more I could do during the
Well,
whole
no,
thing.
I
Especially the fact that I was a year 11, and because I was a year 11, I had no work set because all we were doing at that time was revising, and of course those were strapped away from us.
yeah.
So we just got centre assessed grades, which means that all my year 11 friends, we had nothing to do for at least 5 weeks, and we were just all bored out of our minds, playing basically just playing video games.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's kind of how my routine changed. But it wasn't. I just didn't have a routine. I could get up any time I wanted and go to sleep any time I wanted.
Have you learned anything from that, do you think?
Yeah, the value of a routine, I think.
And have you learned anything about your ability to construct a routine?
I feel like I just I didn't know how to build a routine during quarantine. I just had no idea how to.
I can I sympathize, because retirement is not dissimilar.
Mm,
You can have pretend routines, but you can abandon them at a moment's notice.
exactly. Like I could get up at 8 and quarantine, and then the next day wake up at 2:30 in the afternoon,
Absolutely.
and it wouldn't matter.
Wouldn't matter at all. Um, I'm not sure what it's taught me. I suppose it's taught me the value of not wasting my time, or more than that, not feeling, in my case, not feeling guilty, because I haven't got the same duty to myself quite that you have. I mean, you have to prepare for for working a working life, and everything that goes with it. At 71, I'm really supposed to be getting ready to die. That's the actual truth. I mean, you'll be wise to bear that in mind yourself, because you will die one day. And though you can start too early, in another sense, you can't start too early. Would you say you coped well with the pandemic and the lack
I'd
of
say
routine?
I'd say I coped better than others.
And do you
I
find you're coping?
I wouldn't say I coped well personally, but I'd say I coped better than other people that I know.
Why do you think that is?
I just think the fact that I had a big garden that I could go out into. I had all the technology that I could have wanted to at my disposal at home. And then there's other people that didn't have a garden, didn't have any technology, and I feel like I was a lot better off. Like I feel like I had more things to do than a lot of other people, and that's why I feel like I coped well, like coped better. But I still had like some. I was still like quite depressed over the course of COVID because it was just really getting to me. But then, what more could I have done?
No, it's tricky.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, perhaps we'll leave the conversation there,
Cool.
and we'll take up the conversation another time. Thanks.